What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Jermaine Event, main on MMA. Today we're going to look at this video from this channel. Let's see who it is. The name of the channel is MMA Friction. And the video is, this is why Covington versus Buckley will be one-sided. If you guys know your boy, if you've been here for a while, then you know that I am a big fan of one of these fighters. I'm a fan of both, but I'm a huge fan of one of these fighters. I do have my opinion for how this fight will go, regardless of who I'm a huge fan of. I do have my opinions of that. But let's check out this video from MMA Friction on why this fight will be one-sided, and then I'll give my opinion on the video and my take on this fight.
During the week of UFC 309, Dana White announced two big fights. One is set for UFC 310, Ian Garry versus Shavkat Rakhmonov, but I'll save that for another time. Today, what I wanted to focus on is the other fight that was announced. And I'm talking about Colby Covington versus Joaquin Buckley. Now, I have to admit, this matchup feels like something out of a simulation, like a random generated fight. I would have never guessed that if Covington decided to return, his opponent would have been Joaquin Buckley. But here we are. And alright, look, we've got to give Covington some props here, man. I mean, the guy has always been known for taking stylistic safe fights. That's kind of his thing, you know? Sure, his title fights are a different story, but outside of those, you can really look back at his career and see a clear, and I mean clear pattern. Guys like Jorge Masvidal, T. Wood, Robbie Lawler, RDA, they're all decent names, but
he should have been able to do that to Leon. Let's be real here. That broke foot thing might have been a real big factor. I'm a huge Colby Covington fan, if you guys didn't know.
Let's be real. None of them are relevant anymore. None of those wins hold up when you look at today's top 10. So for Covington to step up now, especially after that rough outing against Leon Edwards, it's kind of surprising. Like, this is the same guy who's been super calculated with his matchups. And yeah, maybe Buckley isn't what people were expecting, but still, you have to give Colby some credit for putting himself back out there after how things went last time. It's not the move most people thought he'd made, but hey, here we are. And as far as Joaquin Buckley, man, he just hit the jackpot with this fight. I mean, a lot of people are talking about how Ian Machado Garry won big by getting the #1 contender shot against Shavkat Rakhmonov. And yeah, that's true. But honestly, I feel like even if Ian didn't even get the Shavkat fight,
they're both #1 contender fights. In my opinion, if Ian Garry and Shavkat have a boring 5-round fight, if it's boring, and Buckley and Colby have a barn burner, you're not going to just put the winner of Shavkat Garry in there. If Buckley goes in there and knocks out Colby in the first round, Buckley is the #1 contender. I don't see Covington coming in and finishing Buckley in one round. But if something like that were to happen, I think Colby deserves the next shot. Both of these fights are title eliminators. We got to see who has the most fan favorite fight, and my money's on Buckley if he's able to get the job done.
He was still going to end up being in a #1 contenders matchup. It was going to be against Buckley. So in a way, Buckley might have just walked away with the bigger prize here. Think about it. This is a Fight Night main event against Colby Covington. People are definitely going to be talking about this fight when it gets closer. Covington is one of those polarizing figures that always draws attention, and Buckley being in the spotlight is huge for him. Whether you love him or hate him, this fight gives Buckley a massive platform. And look, I get it. A lot of people don't like Buckley. Hell, I wasn't even a big fan of him at first. But over time,
how do y'all not like Buckley?
Now imagine if Buckley pulls off a win here. A victory over Covington would give him some serious momentum. Not just in the rankings, but in terms of recognition. This fight could really push him into a new level of stardom. Covington might have taken this fight to stay relevant, but for Buckley, this is a game changer. Whether people are rooting for him or tuning in to see him lose, this is the kind of opportunity that can completely make him a draw. Alright, that's enough yapping. Let's get into it. Let's address the elephant in the room. How do these two stack up against each other? Because honestly, I don't think this fight is going to be close. I believe one guy is going to dominate the other, and after some serious thinking, I've come to the conclusion that Joaquin Buckley is a terrible stylistic matchup for Colby Covington.
That's what I said. It's a terrible fight for Colby. Terrible fight for Colby.
Let's start with Buckley's grappling. The dude can grapple, man. Let's not pretend he's just some flashy knockout artist. On top of that, he's ridiculously hard to take down. Covington's entire game revolves about relentless wrestling, chaining takedowns, and grinding his opponents out for all 5 rounds or 3 rounds. Sure, that worked for him in most of his fights until he met Leon Edwards. And yeah, maybe you can argue that Colby was hurt in that fight, or he wasn't at his best. Fine. But even if you give me a 100% Colby Covington, like a 100% prime Colby Covington, I just don't see him being able to dominate Buckley on the ground like he has with the others. Here's why. Buckley is a tank. He's built like he was chiseled out of stone and barely gets held down, even by middleweights, guys who are naturally bigger and stronger than Colby. And let's be real, Covington is not a big welterweight. He's actually
I don't think that matters. I'm gonna try not to keep interrupting, but I don't think it matters that they're bigger than Colby. I think Colby has the superior technique. So, yeah.
On the smaller side of the division. Sure, his lack of brutal weight cuts might give him a cardios for days, but what good is cardio if you can't control your opponent? Covington isn't going to be able to bully Buckley like he did to guys like Robbie Lawler or T. Wood. Buckley's physicality and explosive styles are a nightmare for someone like Colby, who relies on wearing guys down. And don't get me wrong, Covington's wrestling is elite, no question about it. But we've seen him struggle against fighters who are physically stronger or who can neutralize his pace. Add to that fact that Buckley isn't just a defensive grappler, he's dangerous in scrambles and he can make you pay if you overcommit. Covington can't just spam takedowns and expect to coast. Buckley will make him work every second of that fight, and I don't think Colby has the firepower to keep up. Another thing that is alarming is that Joaquin Buckley is young, he's hungry, and he's on a roll right now. He's been active, he's been sharp, and he's riding some serious momentum right now. On the flip side, you've got Colby Covington, who, let's be honest, just had one of the worst performances of his career against Leon Edwards. On top of that, the guy has been crazy inactive. He's disappeared for long stretches, which makes him very hard to pick him in this fight. Let's be real. And we haven't even gotten to the striking yet, where if I'm going to be honest, I think Covington might be in some serious trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look back at Covington's fight with Leon Edwards, or even the second fight with Usman, he had moments where he was just stationary, like super stationary. In the Usman rematch, it felt like he practically took the first round off, and you cannot do that against someone like Joaquin Buckley. Buckley's got that Mike Tyson-esque style, you know, darting in and out, throwing bombs, mixing in some killer kicks. If Covington stands around waiting or trying to figure him out, he's going to get picked apart on the feet. And at this point, you've got to wonder if Covington is past his prime. He might be washed. Buckley's explosiveness and variety on the feet makes this an uphill battle for Colby. I just don't see how he's going to win the striking exchanges, especially when you factor in Buckley's confidence and momentum right now. This can get ugly fast for Covington. And let's be real, Covington doesn't have any real power. He's a volume guy. He'll throw a ton of punches and try to break you down over time, but they're not that kind of shots that will make you think, oh man, I better stay back. And honestly, Buckley is that kind of guy to not get fazed by that. We've seen how he fights. Look at his fight with Wonderboy. Yeah, Wonderboy was older, but so is Covington. What is he now, like 36? He's starting to look washed. He's slower. He's hesitating.
Honestly, I don't see. That's weird. You go 1 second saying he's inactive. We don't have a lot of footage to see how he's looking these days. And now you're like, he's 36. He's looking slower. Like, how can you say both of those things in the same video? That's nonsense. Either he's inactive, so we can't really tell, or he is active and we've seen a decline. He's not been active because Jorge Elite assaulted him, battered him at that bar, at that steakhouse, and he had a concussion. He was out for a year. All right, but he dominated before that. In the fight with Jorge, nothing tells you that Colby was slowing down. He looked bad in the Leon fight. I'll give you that. But don't say we don't have enough. He's not active enough for us to know where he's at right now. And then a minute later say, yeah, but he's slower. Dude, get out of here.
See the grappling working out. Buckley is built like a freaking tank, and Covington just doesn't have the tools to handle that. And here's the thing though. This fight feels like the beginning of the end for Covington. The welterweight division is evolving, the old guys are starting to phase out, and the new generation is taking over. Buckley is part of that new wave, and this fight feels like just another example of the changing of the guard. And look, maybe Covington drags it to decision because he's tough and he has great cardio, but even if he does all that, we're just gonna see how washed he really is at this point. I respect Covington for taking the fight, sure. On paper, it's an exciting matchup, but let's be real, this is probably gonna be a one-sided. And Buckley is about to make a statement, and I fully expect Buckley to take advantage of this, and I do believe he's gonna be the next contender right after the winner of Shavkat or Ian Gary get their title. And look, man, overall, it's a great replacement, and I think it's going to have a fun build-up, especially with Covington overall, you know, being all over the top and goofy, and yeah, it's probably just going to go like that. But what do you guys think?
I disagree.
Let me know.
I disagree. I'll give your boy a thumbs up. I'll even subscribe. I'm that kind of guy. So I want to say in reaction to that video, I definitely see where he's coming from because I was kind of leaning that way until I watched this video. All right, his prediction is that this will be one-sided in favor of Joaquin Buckley. Joaquin Buckley will dominate Colby Covington is what he's predicting. But the more I listened to that video, the more I was convinced and reminded of who the fuck Colby Covington is. All right, do you guys? What are we talking about here, man? Colby Covington is a beast. Okay. Colby is a beast. He's talking about like middleweights weren't able to hold Joaquin Buckley down, and they're much bigger than Colby, much bigger and stronger than Colby. Colby, how many times have you seen Colby really try to hold somebody down to the ground? He's going to put that volume on you, put you up against the fence, clinch against the fence, drag, make you carry weight. He's going to have you against the fence. He's not worried about putting you in mount. All right, that's not Colby's game. It's weird that people are just kind of like blanket statements like, oh, bigger wrestlers weren't able to hold him down. But bigger wrestlers fight different. Not a lot of people fight with the style of Colby Covington that spam you with jabs, spam you with hooks, spam you with kicks. And even if he's not putting the most power on it, he's throwing a lot at you. And he's got good movements, man. I know like he got dropped pretty viciously with the Kamaru Usman in the second fight. That was pretty nasty. First fight was even. And then Mark Goddard stepped in and stopped that fight way too early. He stopped that fight way too early. All right. Mark Goddard. No, Colby's a lot better than we're giving them the credit for. And you guys are talking about like, oh, I was feeling that. All right. For whatever reason, even with me knowing what I know, for whatever reason, when this fight was announced, I'm like, man, this is a bad fight for Colby. But it's not. It's not a bad fight for Colby. I don't feel like Buckley has fought anyone like Colby. He's not trying to double leg him and keep him on the ground and then transition into side control, transition into mount. That's not what's happening with Covington. He wants to get you up against that fence, beat you up, pitter-patter against the fence. He's trying to point fight you. He's not trying to knock you out. These people are going to come with two different expectations or two different intentions in this fight. Two different intentions. Buckley's looking to anti-wrestle, yes, and then explode with some powerful strikes, yes. But this is like I think Covington will be able to back this man up. He will be able to get this man up against the fence, and he will be able to work his clinch. I feel like Colby's game is being really underrated right now. I mean, I know it's easy for a lot of people not to like Colby. And then after the last fight, it's easy to say he's washed. I don't think that last fight is enough to tell me he's washed. He potentially was hurt. And I feel like even without the injury, after he said that whole send your father to the 7th layer hair thing, After that happened, I felt like he kind of psyched himself out. He like made the moment too big. Like Leon flipped out through the thing at him, and like it was too emotional at that point. You know what I'm saying? He fucking was like he scared himself. All right, that's what I'm saying. He made the moment too big. Okay, that's what I feel. That's what I think's happened. He made the moment too big for himself. But yeah, that video right there that concluded that it was going to be a one-sided fight in favor of Buckley. And I'm here to rebut that video more so reminded me why this will be a one-sided fight in favor of Colby. This is a bad fight for Buckley. But I think after he gets through this experience of just being manhandled by Colby, just being up against the fence and just not being able to get going, I think we'll see him be able to adjust and make improvements. But I feel like Colby will definitely be able to get his game going, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. Do you agree with MMA Friction that Buckley will dominate Colby, or do you agree with your boy that Colby Covington will make welterweight great again and dominate Joaquin Buckley? I don't know. What is it? Joaquin? Every time I hear it, people say it differently. I'm like stuttering. I'm like Joaquin. I don't know what to say because it's like, fuck, everybody says it differently. But Buckley, I believe Colby Covington will dominate Joaquin Buckley. Yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, ladies and gentlemen, and I will see you when I see you. I'll holla.